Many of us have done things that we regret, like skipping a trip, leaving a relationship, or walking away from a good job. A recent survey focuses on some of the 47 million people who quit their jobs during last year's so-called Great Resignation. About 1 in 5 of those people who resigned during the pandemic regretted it. Many of them wanted more pay and responsibility, then realized their new gig wasn't the dream job they wanted. So what do they do now? What do you do now if this is you? LinkedIn career expert Catherine Fisher is here with some advice to help workers bounce back from a wrong move. Good morning. How you doing?
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Now, why are people regretting leaving their jobs during the pandemic?
So those of you who are, unhappy with the move, it's probably because you were just moving too fast, both on the company side and on the employee side. So what happened is that these companies were really trying to fill vacant roles that had been sitting for a long time. So they shortcut the system in terms of we saw some companies were taking 2 weeks to hire people. It's really fast to make a decision on an employment, both for the person taking the job and for the company. And some people also, we saw on LinkedIn, a woman was talking about how she was lured to that really big salary, but didn't take into account what is the job, what's my manager going to be like, how much accountability will I have? And so because of this hiring process has really changed, they, all of a sudden they didn't ask the right questions that you typically do in the hiring process.
What are the right questions, Catherine, to ask?
So
because you're sitting out here on this limb, sewing it and it's sawing. So now, what are the right questions? Because you don't want to make the same mistake twice.
Yes, and what you want to do is make sure that you're not asking really general questions of like, hey, do you like working here? Of course, their job is to sell you on the job. So what you should be asking is, how do you celebrate wins? How do you celebrate failures? Like, what happens if you fail? Give me an example of a time when the team didn't have enough resources to do a job. How did you manage through that? So being really specific about what's important to you to give you greater insight into the culture. But I would also...
Culture. I never, when I was looking for a job, ever asked about the workplace.
No.
Did you?
No.
Did you ever ask about workplace culture? Ever?
Yeah, well, culture is very important and something that many companies are really investing in. And a great thing to do, though, is beyond just, the people that you're talking to on the interview panel, is talk to people outside of that interview panel. You can go to their, company page. You can go figure out what is it that, see if you have anyone in common that you worked with, at that company, or you know people, and talk to them about really what is it like to work there. You'll get the more honest answer, and take time to reflect. Really ask yourself, what do you need to be happy?
So if you took a job during the pandemic and now you realize it's not the right fit, which is what a lot of people have realized, what should you do? Because I would think that as a manager, we were talking about impulse. You'd look at the person coming back to a job or trying to get another job and go, you strike me like an impulsive person, not a thoughtful individual. That could be a red flag.
Yeah. Well, you can be thoughtful. So what is really important is to say, I took this job. I didn't ask all the right questions that I needed to. And what I've discovered during this, 3-month job that I had is this is actually what's really important to me. And so if you use that time to be self-reflective and be honest about it, I actually think it makes you a strong candidate.
It's still a red flag, though. I would say if you didn't ask
Not
the right
every employer
questions,
is going to say, oh, okay.
Okay, yeah, we'll just forget about that period of your life. And I think it's a little tough for people if you're going to make a decision about bringing somebody in and you want to assess the character of that person. I don't know.
And do you add that to the resume? If you're going to look for a new job, do you say, oh, I quit my old job, and I was only there for a short time, but it's not what it looks like?
No, I would not add that part.
See, and I actually would say you should.
See?
You should, yes.
Yeah.
Because I think
you're being honest,
if you're being honest, and if you're saying, I took this job because this is what I was looking for, I realized that actually what I need to be successful is...
And I made a mistake.
Yes.
I think people appreciate it when you say you made a mistake.
Yeah, just don't do it all the time.
But that's, just don't do it all the time. There's a lot of mistakes to be made. But you say, despite these numbers, the people looking for work still have the upper hand today.
They do.
You do?
Yeah,
you do think that? How so?
There's still a lot of companies looking to hire people. And I think that also companies are doing a lot to attract employees. So they're doing things, obviously, like with salary sign-on bonuses. We're also hearing a lot of companies doing things like upskilling their workforce, so paying for their education. So it really is still a great time to look for a job.
I will say, though, that for the people that leave, that creates opportunities for the people who stay.
This is true.
Also important not to burn bridges. If you're going to leave, don't do that rage quit and put it on Instagram.
Yes, the
Like this
worst thing you
job.
can do is rage
So
quit.
what I'm hearing, finding a new job is like finding a new lover. Be honest with what you want, right?
It absolutely
Okay.
is.
I hadn't thought of that, but now I am thinking about that.
Are you looking for a new
was
lover?
like-
No, I'm just saying. That's what I'm
now.
hearing. No? It's like a relationship you're getting
Yes,
into.
it is. Absolutely. You got to know what you
Okay.
need.
All right. It's not 50 Shades of Grey, Gayle. I'm just saying. Trying to make a
I'm taking notes.
Comparison.
Okay, I'm taking notes. Thank you, Catherine Fisher.
Thank you.
Always good to see you.